Today is 7th March 2022 in the year of our Lord. Certainly, today is a holiday, so you're most welcome to our holidays edition of Assembly. This is live on PENTTV. PENTTV, it's all about Jesus. A very, very good morning to you all. And welcome to my world, certainly. We are grateful for welcoming us into your various homes via your television. And very, very, very soon, you also see us on the DTT platform, free-to-air platform. Certainly, you will see it live. This is PENTTV. And once again, you're most welcome. Today is holiday, and certainly we have to discuss a lot of issues. Yesterday, we were 65 years. So 65 years plus a day. Yesterday was an Independence Day, and certainly almost all the actions were far away in Cape Coast. That was where it was celebrated. And for the first time, I'm so happy. Our topic this one is very simple. So Ghana is 65 years. How far have we come as a nation? Politically, economically. And then how well have we been able to coordinate and hold on to our cultural values? Right from 1957. The things they taught us. Are we still holding them or we are losing them? We want to find out this morning. We've invited one of the astute and senior citizen of this very country. He is also a minister of God, I'm sure. And then a seasoned lecturer as well. He has been around for a very long time, so written a lot of books. So Prof this morning will be helping me to track back our progress right from 1957 up to this time. How far have we come? When you speak to people, you say, oh, Ghana, I mean, we are still in difficult, but it's true. But if you really want to go back in 1957 and begin to count our blessings, you realize that we've made a lot of strides. Where have we gotten it wrong? Where are we on track? We'll this morning take our time, delving into it and do this discussion solidly. Your WhatsApps are welcome. They're on the screen, 0545234791. You can send us your WhatsApp, your comments ahead of time, and then we will certainly get back to you. Nti nyame adom ye bebe share enafo fida yi e o PENTTV studio na chese ye to aso aseda ni bi enkoma sponsor Dr. Nanake Jesse Company Limited, Jagris Fertility and Natural Clinic, Sam Lee's Enterprise omso ya sene enra na Ghana edi emfihia edusia enum nti eda ba akwa beto so ene de nyina na ya afofida ye hwe na eri akoya nim. But I'm not paying some who are yet to a boss, and I can was them. A say, the young fee and you send ye champagne tintina, ne quire a free so I have free sabreno, and the ABC and day. Dear Neman, ya acqui, dear Neman sooner atochima. A henny fan a bit in your dining, titu, ne yamanyo semu, is it can say mushi shame. A fake quire and titia in your free nanum. Kana ya dibu no yene yankasa ye culture ya mamre sema yekure mu sen na etie kane no na ye kasa oteka mu kura na panyin bi eba na ono so e woka na ye ma amofra sorry na panyin atrase saa ne man tete ahodo e de kyekere nya eneyi etesen na se yesi ewiase abie na nimde adoso se ye boa yen ana se etwen e de akoye echi enura president kasa pi ya o kasi yehwe ne mmoa na se de etiko ye chiri ensan so entimi enkura ye ho emra bio. Ghana at 65. How far have we come as a nation? Papa akwa babio ye na sanso ehia now esa na wochi anene na me ba wochi kakrapa ho na wochi ne na no de be kan ye be hia ye no ye kan sam fifro but the lady ye di Ghana nkomo wanyini ame adom senior citizen 57 now hana
o ma nyini shan Ghana
the course at that time now
me huni na me teenager.
Wow. Boy nkomo kakre
oh de me kai wo ho ane bibia atoa so abesi samre the violence.
Oh okay.
Yes, sambreno me kai pa as a young person, Kurasi, Krufa, Santi Achim, na me kai
para
paratroopers, CPP for ba na matim ho for no so aba. Saa time no mu use a Land Rover, a friend Jeep, no, and I know mu use ne kese. And wo mu be share na ye ntokwa. Saa mre na me kai say omuta akotu nuro, krobiti say angoma so wona no ye say omu dware nuro. So whenever you hear say we no aba na say we no so beba na say obi epe baby edwane fa. As a young person, that's my major recollection of your independence struggle. And buku ya matre ma kan say jackknife bi o ha e fe no kumbafo me say what
bafo
kumbafo bafo
den na ma sa bafo no ba toso
santo kwanto koye bi dweso na matima hofo ne CPP for share na omko ye na obi de sa jackknife no ewo obi ekumu no na ye de sa knife no dine abeto
unia no wu no de
bafo e de to kumbafo. So my recollection of independence, of course, a school for they say you call march past and a banum near there, Mekai said 1952, Queen Elizabeth Bedi Ade my caps and all those kinds of things. But
Satana school,
Krufa,
primary, and I say,
no primary school. If anything at all, that is what I clearly recall. Say as a young person, into kwa now when I pray for independence now omoko, and I will say say atwaso besinde ayeti ayekase. It's one of the things that I've written about. To say minim say near pray for independence, and Kwame Nkrumah came. Of course, we now know the history. Say UGCC now by na fe wote na honom na ade. But how it erupted into this kind of adversarial politics, which is still with us.
The area now, I say, a narrow one, no, you measure political aspects. I fear about the economy.
Exactly.
But whether say, cultural, traditional values are the Mayan, that's a crime. And now, 21st century technology, AGF and some. Is it helping? And I say it's not helping. So let's track it from the political side. And so the early days in targeting was what? To win political independence for them.
Yeah, if you go back to say the last year, and Rakura president that the whole thing started with the Aborigines Right Protection Society. Of course, I say Ghana for a year, I say Abrofono Babene Dija. Emma slave trade the credit course and sana formal colonization taking place. Because we're talking about 14 something Azambuja no buy bene ye dija ACC castles and nominate to facilitate their trade. And our people joined in. And Tito Bia na junior pay yentimi emfa blame no nyina kora nto abrofo no.
Was a chance no omo dwedi no money.
Adwedi no mba be na yedi. And how it ended up say ntokwa na wo ye tribes ne kora ne banen terminal. And then when they probably also saw say the black man was better adapted to work. Slavery has always been around in human history. Obasantifomu you can't be a donkwa. Not just you'll be it's not that Ukusha will be the Mr. Donkwa was in Indiana, but Caneno now will be free baby to make a franc for when you even read the Bible, a whole nation of the Hebrews had to be slaves in Egypt. So human history has always gone with that kind of thing. And our people had also been practicing those things. But The problem is that it became a commercial trade, fueled by ntokwa na ewo ye tribes and ntem no. Enti eno na ekọ so a
sa prapere no. Na ma abrofo no ehu se nkrofo we kura se mo aba ekuru ye nim ntem. Enti the agenda ne fam we be adwuma.
Agenda ne fam we be na de ba kwa na ebinom sa Asantefo, for example, wanted to have advantage with abrofo no who settled on the coast. Until now, so munye kwan. Do you know that Elmina, for example, was virtually an Asante village? But that's where they had a year no mutime kokone and crofono edija. Until there was a lot of azambu binum baba tu ne one in the year one more juma. Slaves. We also have a part to play.
And apparently no more can. At that time, so I cause slaves no. Nkrofo abranefo a womo
and I do almost prisoners of war. In the convention and say you have to treat them well. In our case, they were sold. So, into kind African history, West African history, the slave raiders, normal for in villages and so on, and then they will sell them to Sa Abrofui. So, Abrofui only be who say no, this thing, and that's why in some of the things that I have discussed, a Christian responsibility.
Because not the final part.
No, but because William Wilberforce was a member of British Parliament and Obey converted, Obey Christian. And one of the things he told Nakumas and they said, how can human beings treat their fellow human beings like that, put them into ships like sardine and transport them? So the man was an independent member of the British Parliament. And he fought consistently, because they are quite relevant to your issues.
Okay.
He was an independent member of Parliament. No, the bills, he defeated several times because it was a profitable trade. But he insisted because it was against his Christian conscience. So there was a group of them from the Clapham sect. Christopher Parliament, to fight these things until he succeeded. And one of the things about me discussing a book is significant the entire when he said, Parliament way. Now you need private members bill.
Yeah.
A private member, because constitution that's what we let's say any bill be out of the parliament be a back cost to the executive, even one CD, the speaker must throw it away. Until Adebakwa Midenya say former speaker Michael Kwe, and a current one. And they are insisting, say we must have private members bill. Because it was
irrespective of the cost.
Yes. And that is what is really going to facilitate a lot of, because Uko Parliament not just say one kind executive want to fast MBA and say from Rahebeja. And then once Abano was on and then Niama will discuss and then if they have their majority, they will say the majority will the minority will have their or they say but they will have their way. And then things were just going. Intima discusses our private members bill, Mitroy and Sakrana. Papano Prof, we must really thank God for sir. Otherwise, can I know the LGBTQ because it doesn't. Even now, people are still arguing on the basis of that.
Certain remits in terms of taking care of victims near the by the state, and the executive will have to pay for
against that provision in our constitution.
But people still
but why I'm bringing that in is that the British Parliament had that private members bill, and he was a private member in Parliament, independent member, and he used that to abolish
pushed for the abolition
of the slave trade. So coming back, the slave trade, and Rana Mami of Free Barbados, and I was talking about reparations and Necron and Banamana. And Metiwana say, Mummy and Fasani and Trinchen, Yamuroso. And yes, to the Akanas of Betasso, Mabeni, Vitimi, also, make problem. They are reparation because who come Pabia, a dready any permit in a dija. Until your Brunina Obian Hammer to our Vito. Oh, that is.
Now, sometimes no, I never go so my phone say, especially every before. And it might be hot more. Yeah, Giatum say we make a hobby. Ne buy. I mean, into. Now, yeah, shall coin before so be coin Debbie. To be a nipa do na pe. Oh, SMS in the way. SMS in the way. Say, I can say be a phone line on my coin. Oh, I'm from buy no me say. But say you come. I shall say no. Obi amfa de na medwomu a obi nso nto e de so nye nipa ba go fo ni
David
enti emra du se na esi na nya esi awia e be ko yanim but yem fast forward emra enti enya independent enti na nkroma no mo target na mo de pay independent na se den se na abrofo no na mo ye de enti na mo press chenchena chen yenya independent at that time.
What obo ase na wo hwe nkroma ne before he came, there had been agitations. There are Crawford. Adeba pushy the whole agenda and they say World War. No, na ye soldier for no be call under the British flag. And one mobile and one say na se Crawford no mo ye ni party say etuo no mo to ne there ye nyina gisi ye dwane ye hyehyamremu. So when they came, that is the 1948 riot, no, Abrofu to go on so no. And one will say, Nancy say, because and that's what. So what I'm trying to say is that before in Nkrumah there was a lot of agitation for people. Now a friend is saying. Fantifo no along the coast when an abrofo no be settle first no mo anya sa in fact wo hwe independence the colony was along the coast omo no abrofo no enya na they omo no signing the bond of 1844 which was 6 March 1844 and then the independence the
reference point
exactly so that was it but people like Ashantis who kept on fighting, they were forced into it. And I make a history book be Kantanka, West African history. He said, he made a statement to this effect: what the wars, the guns could not achieve for us, the pen achieved it. What he was saying, he said, whilst the Ashantis and the other tribes fought Abrofono to resist Womo taking over Nekronebana, people who had studied the Aborigines Tribe Protection Society, they went and they were negotiating. And that's why at some point, Omni Aborofunu can say you can only rule us for 100 years. 1844 to 1944. After 1944, no, just like the ABC between like Daniel, reading the prophecy of Jeremiah, saying that God said after 70 years, he started praying and said, God, you said it, take action. So our people said 1844, 1944, we've gone to war, we have come, we have seen, then give us our independence. So there was that agitation. But in Nkrumah, a picture by Mono was, if you look back, this is someone who studied in America and came face to face with racial discrimination. Anna Brofono editia blacks, and he couldn't and me book we were chapter back comparing Kwame Nkrumah and Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew says he also studied with Britain to become a lawyer. And then he looked back. The Japanese and the others more treatment on the man, woman so Asians during the war. He said, no, I'm going to go back. And Nkrumah too was fired, and it happened. He got in touch with people like W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yeah, Du Bois,
who was the leader of the group fighting blacks and now fighting for their freedom, so to speak. And apart more, for example, was also part of. So Nkrumah became associated with these people.
Guys.
So this man was fired, if you want, to fight against white domination of the black people.
But before that, I said UGC guys in the so now I'm call London.
Well, one call London lawyers. Yes. They became aristocrats. The treatment and so on. I don't think it was as much as going to America and seeing the way the blacks were being treated. So until no buy, na Nidian Mumian to a boss and near the Abrofon Cassimbia.
Okay.
That is where you get the difference between independence now and then independence in the foreseeable. Exactly. That's the way you can appreciate that. So Obay, no Enyadia is a threat. So I'm supposed that Obey a secretary to UGCC, and so the way Yeni Abrofon Bekasa, be negotiating near the he said no. I have to find my own movement.
But Hanson I thought be intellectual like say. A print terminal. Any omo gidi okay buy okay no be enti discriminate against you pa we when it to buy no engine se ya na empam no monko. It said that be ento e bo ase enko yanim. Some intellectual discussions we are not type because depending on where you stand. But what is the lesson between Nkrumah the instant and anyway no dey no e dey na bitin esu en na abrabo ayebo because the ye nyina no ye study the SC.
Yes, study the SC na aste aboyama.
E dey na be to wase kakra ye na say ye je ne preko na ye.
Ye je ne preko no me looking back there me feel say ye je ne preko na ye. Because e besi ne obronin da so emfa obroni animonyam mma bibini because of situation you find ourselves in. And then say, let me go as Christian, let him go back to the Bible. Moses saw the situation of their people.
Treatment and Egypt for them.
Egypt for no. He was raised as an Egyptian. The historical thing will Pharaoh fear.
Enjoyment and then better. Aristocrats are who can enjoy. You enjoy.
Me preach on Moses or America and I say, Nimame, because Hebrews chapter 11, I think verse 12 will say, Nimame, I believe ne papa can. My child is no ordinary child. By faith. Or Mama can say, my child is no ordinary child. And I may preach, I may say, no ordinary child is say. But they saw they were beyond something beyond that. Pharaoh Shembra said, Hebrew Nibia Oba Mia Obano Konwa. And then this woman had given birth to Aaron and to Miriam, and he womb Moses. And then he looked at Akorano or Dawa and said,
I'm afraid.
No, Akorawe dear. Now that's the way the NIV puts it. It's no tree no yana nyame de say say me bed.
No, translation.
I said no fair. Now say young one fast no walk. So they were
something beyond.
Yes, they saw something beyond
physical way.
So they would defy the king's orders. Now let me preach one me say if you defy the king's orders, you don't only need grace of God, but you also need wisdom. What can I say? Fakentana bra. Yemfa plastic in same. Fakusi na no nso na nkrofo emane mi okwa ani akoto mo atwene nso mo and then Moses nso ho. I've gone to Egypt, I've seen the reeds that is and God is always looking for people who will mamenka we kanena me yin say statement. It's not true in its entirety that heaven helps those who help themselves. It's not completely true in its entirety. But the coin be so no. Nyankopon hwe wo so a wo mo ani abere a wo do mo yen so a ebeye yie.
No, but say na be true. The Bible say So now we can handle the issue.
Okay.
Who specific guess na in news. But it makes sense.
It makes sense, but it makes sense. Until my main di ne ba no kosi nsuo ho no. Then ohema ba be dware. And then Miriam also had the boldness to approach the woman and say, "Ma memfa no nkoma Hebrew for no bi na wonhwe no. Be so mo bi na odo mo ba na. Nti we de wanya asase de." So Moses goes back to ne maame under the authority of Pharaoh's daughter, whilst all the others have killed their sons.
Okay.
And then me imagine him say debia na Mose maame ka oda ne sere so a omo ne nufuo ne ade akosi say o win no de no command o ka chen say unye Egyptini ufiri baby because the entire maker said, why is it that when you know what spared him to go and see them California and say I'll fight them?
So tying into that of Nkrumah picture,
Nkrumah picture. No, here is some of us and never be America. Cause a fire governance system comes from the fact that me share my background. Na me share adum bi anyame de adum me mama kopia brochire. Akosua de anyame masters and PhD. Na me ne abrofo atena epono ho asua de. Na me hunu se obroni sabio oni adwene enchen me. There were some courses I beat everybody in the class, and the lecturer was asking, he called me into the office, he's surprised that I beat everybody in the class. Let me say, but why do you think that the black man's brain is not capable of doing this kind of thing?
But some time ago, James Watson, so we kind of British, genetic.
Maybe a geneticist prime breeder.
Or study, you know. White adrenal genetically.
No. Political biasness and things like that. Enti Michelle, this same baby abrofo yetimi adura na yeti ha na sabi o ese yetonte no a let me catch him and say why the difference?
Then they pushing Nkrumah on train.
And he also went to UK and they had a congress of black people. One Okoshia Du Bois nominated and they spared him on, and therefore he left. Mimi, for example, Michelle Madi Viena. I was Canada. Miami PhD. A lot of Miami Christopher B. Ketchem said, Mekai say one of our president of Interhall Christian Fellowship, Freme, Ketchem Safo, do you think it is God's will that you should go back to Ghana? That was 1980. Samna now Rollins in 1979. I didn't know a more emotion. Now I say, Yankopa Madam, my scholarship, see that scholarship, my business, my PhD. Why shouldn't I go back? Because that was the purpose. So you see that. My scholarship at that time, my acquire and met me, I can say, a new 5% in the summer buy. No, money Ghana, and I thank God. So, and I look at Sebi, me buy, you know. Impact in Necron and Banam there, Yamiadum, Yetimia, so this is how you see the Nkrumah's approach. That no, we cannot tolerate, and who come and say, Lee Kuan Yew also had the same mentality to go back and get the liberation of
exploit. What made Lee Kuan Yew no successful?
Successful.
It means so, can say. Mandela, for instance, on Nessa Abrofia apartheid time.
Okay.
Edi Sausuya, and ne, would the minister wait in the pan. One more Costa Rica, say, Usi Johannesburg, Cape Town.
Sabbatical or minimum.
Our Casa Okanokora, Baby Abrofia, in Tinanka, the UGC for Nekasenka, Yanni side by side a cracker. Na nkrofo emu an insisi nyema kese after all enema kakraka bi ho no nkrofo ye besi na ye ntimi anya bi e ka se yatu ye betimi atu tinke ne nante kakraka na nka nkrofo womunyena nibi nyuma no na at that time industrial revolution had also in taking off na yenya middle class bia betimi hold the vital positions no na fa I say take over na very smooth but wo machiri no emwa but finally wo machi nteto am so
yeah my junior me say never bo you have to take a very radical decision and act. And I won't fault Nkrumah on that. What I will fault...
But they been also can also...
Oh, they been more Canadian. What you see, look at human nature and so. Obi awaye o akwa wadi uso ne ade so ye tue bo ase na wa did emra almost all the countries ne ye omo non-aligned ne kro ne ban Nkrumah no ba omo fa policy call east in the who February didn't follow them. Ivory Coast.
Yes.
But at the end of it all, they did translate into anything. It is a matter of, because a Nema Nkrumah put you in place in Oba, can empower Yenya Nkrofo. I think that was a more worthy, except that the economic policy, and that and Rase me preach or how sorry. The economic policy say or turn and you could not blame him or turn into the Soviet
at that
bloc at that time, no? Because they felt they fell into that Cold War East-West rivalry, no? And to be our do so, no? The East felt more attractive to a lot of the African leaders Ambeji independence. You know?
Yeah, but I agree. But you see,
but economically,
and then the strategy,
and only the man Lee Kuan Yew succeed, you know, because he not that he bowed to Abrofo, he realized he needed industries, you know, near there. Whilst people were talking against. The corporations I can see so almost in he rather attracted them but on his terms, and they established a lot of industries. It was Singapore. His vision was let us get a job for the young generation to do. So he what kind of story now? I say one more into non-aligned and things that he was not interested in those ideological. Sometimes what I don't find comfortable is when we get ourselves into ideologies. Your friends, MPP, so capitalist, and then center. Mature man we say when people are saying, yeah, center west. What we put on our table. Whether we would have been better holding on to Abrofo ideology and allowing them to take us through, or get away from them and then start, because the Nkrumah Kofa was and the fact that USSR failed, the fact that China also failed with the communist system, but they have now succeeded with the capitalist system, means that the choice with the emerging African countries made, in terms of economy, was wrong.
Seriously,
it was wrong. Going to the Soviet bloc, Nkrumah formed workers brigade. That collective planning, and me kind book could be China and be actual about that period, the way they have gone through poverty, they have gone through multi-sons revolution, but then Xiaoping went to Singapore, and so I said, "What is Lee Kuan Yew and said, what we have done, you can do it far better." So
you have the numbers.
So because you have the numbers, and Rameya say the aspiration of the people, the direction of the political leadership, and the numbers.
Good. So
then Xiaoping, in 1978, and Crawford team a message what Trotromo can say, woman don't want the American woman say, you see China for your independence 40 years. No. Omu change direction 40 years in 1978. They celebrated it in 2018. They changed direction. They saw that, fine, central planning, making government farms, and look at here, Ghana has a state enterprises, being power, and ultimately successful. But we inherited all those from Nkrumah era. No? So that one, you cannot scrap for African leaders, because they all, and the only reason you may not blame them, they say, Obi awadi so pa ama wafa won krofo akọ no akọ the way omo chiti won ubenya fa ahudi a wo se mesan aba na samre mpo aye ya san akokọ ko omo nchen.
But the model of Mandela dey am kind na picture na tells.
Mandela dey, at the end of it all, how has it really helped the average black man? It's good. The choices are very difficult to make, but you have to be very radical. A book will be American about John Wesley, will be a biography, or say the radical Wesley. Sometimes you have to be radical. Oko Moses dear. Look at the kinds of compromises that Pharaoh can say make. And yet he says, no, ultimately our people must live. That's fine. That's a history. That's the political independence. But I know I was talking about Joshua chapter 5. When they got to a friend saying Gilgal, then they had the Passover for the 50 years, for the 40 years. Then the Bible says the manna ceased. The manna ceased. What is God telling us? To say the economic independence must follow political independence. The question you are asking is, how do we go about it? Is it a radical departure from those that have ruled us, or we take the year into our own hands? Go to Joshua chapter 18, and then you see that 7 of the tribes, Joshua called them and said, Muntimi and take over the whole So the answer is, why has China been able to change direction in 40 years and have done it? Why was
the extreme poverty eliminating 2020? And Americans the intentional 10-year development project. I was just following it. 2020 extreme poverty
is gone. China. And what kind of year is only in Africa that extreme poverty continues to increase. So the Ghana Living Standard Survey in 2017 showed that 2017.
2017, I'm saying it's 7.
You are. And they came out said 23.8 Ghanaians live in poverty, and 8-point-something live in extreme poverty.
In fact, just to be specific with you, even in 2018, World Bank projections, they are not HSA. Extreme poverty, that's an increase. Or 25 point plus.
Oh, I see. And then they're also showing that the difference between the rich and the poor is widening.
It's widening.
So China looks at, in fact, book now maker says America, and I will say they look at the Ding dynasty. Then they went through Then Deng Xiaoping went to Singapore and said, no, we can do it. And then they changed the economic direction. So, my serious take with what is happening to us is, why does it seem that the need to 65 years. We don't seem to see the need to clearly change direction. And we seem to be SMB all consider euphoria about democracy. The euphoria. We think that democracy will solve all our problems. I am all for it. China solving the economic problem, but the democracy is a moment. But there's a political leadership that has given direction in terms of economy to the people.
Because economic issue it will direct bearing to the lives of the people.
Exactly.
Until we say can ideology some now we prefer na there. And so I know business.
There be.
Because at the end of the day, so I have heard a lot of people who criticize about China for, of course, maybe Christian woman.
I will talk about that. Fine.
But the woman say, if you look at their population, the size of now, obviously, manage in such a way, say extreme poverty free. Now, over transfer economy,
every 4 years,
what's the point?
I know.
And so the target now almost set about political independence. You know, economic independence. I need
a target. The way Nkrumah thought that by aligning to the east, they will follow a system, because he had gone to.
At that time, no check on sometimes there are a lot of things you have to be smart. Like who can? It's not about just joining people and now becoming alliance to people, but you must also weigh the interest. And maybe you say, who could join you? Now the Ubenya free no so. I keep on telling people, and that's my life. But I'm very loyal to the few people I have. Truth is that who join P now
and then from somewhere also.
Enti say who ko baby at that time I work join Russia. Omo power fine. The code word na aba. Entokanya na ebedi. Amanfo at that time I shall say omo build your money.
But I did back.
To baby so say you can quickly no. This
is all that
development say politics ni ade no eto na ya ade one way na emwa edi ba bia e say timisisa one area memo aka wansa mansa na Christian eyabemo no eye sa you can say yeah hwenim say kada be that kind of inclusiveness. But baby I no I say me bra na metra so na winner takes all me win wi a na maka fa it is a wo tie name na wa dwene kra na kan ho a na o man forgetting say at the end of the day no ideology be a we bia no must benefit the people.
One ye problem ba kwa ye won say China for we are not people who want to do that. The only country we seem to be seeing say they have to do it Rwanda, because they have faced the danger of being cleared off, or the genocide, and so Danfoye, your friend, is Kagame. He comes on, and Paul Kagame is no longer Kagame has ruled for 7 years, changed the constitution, is ruling for whatever. He's following a certain agenda. They are on a clear path. And because he's on the right path, they are taking their industries there. Because the whole attitude has changed. There's a clear direction for the people. I am one say, your politicians, the need for us to really change things. President Rawlings, a by in the year 1992 constitution. Nipa bebre can whether or more a kind of Ukraine, see a man because a indemnity clause of course. That is what I have written, because mature book we answer na will be wo. And to mature the preface na wo end me refer what I'll call it. So President Rawlings said indemnity clause, you see, then you put a lot of entrenched provisions and so constitution. Decentralization is not working. Because ye jai bibia say central government in kwana ye bibia Yeah, him for you must play anything in politics. And yet, your constitution, you say, the last week, you can't say, school lands and public lands, they are in charge of the 95% of Ghana's land. And they are selling this land at very, very high prices. And if there is any industry, in there, it's a building industry. And how do you build? You must get a piece of land. So the one who is in charge of this, our man so say the commercial value. No, you are not seeing any reason why, because in the mature movement say we are practicing electionocracy and not democracy. Because our people, our politicians and parties are consumed away from Kwame Nkrumah and Matimo na carry over, are be consumed by trying to overtake each other. Do Obako reason, Obako born and said, Obako Brennan, Obako born and said, why do you see this clearly? And then you say, we be a so Mekoka, I am Funonia, ever rise against me, can't see him fan to Kwan be Emra. But we need to sit and talk. We need to sit and talk and say, how can you sell a piece of land for 3 million, 5 million Ghana cedis? And you don't pay any tax on it. And the government needs money to develop the country. And nobody seems to think that. And when anybody says that, yes, our constitution, we see Debbie. Mama district assembly near there. The main suggest Samaya me book we say. I didn't think Mama ahemfono. The government has to appoint the MC or DCE. He also has to appoint the 30%. Some of these in yes, I have become a presiding member of Asante Achim South District Assembly Pay. Me quite nominate say me timini the aboa, and I saw say and Tebini too. So after one term, no, they were shocked. Yes, original one I'm catching and say I'm going back to my own village. Nyame adom makom me boa me school me we ma me at school secondary school kra nyame adom ne ma ekoso kakra. But I saw that nema yen wo ho no enya de a boa I present he appointed 30% of the people there. He appoint the MMC. The chiefs are not part of what is there officially. And so how do you really get them to plan their one more development?
When you're
accountable to you.
No, but I am funny because
and our constitution also what Trato say or no a stool land. Now the who owns the land. So the constitution is saying virtually that they own the land. And to tell you Kasana assassin the nanum na modiane krone ba last week ye kan wasem enti system no the intrama ye de we abetom ne say this is China, a very densely populated country with 1.3 billion people. They see the contest, they go through multi-song, new revolution, socialism, whatever, communism, and then they see say Deng Xiaoping, I can say the Asian tigers, whatever it has taken them to succeed, Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, and we should be able to do it. And he gave Cheng Sheng orders to say they should start doing some of this. 40 years, they have taken away poverty. The second largest economy, yet the situation that it is. Abanwe by NDC they run into all this kind of problem. They had to run to IMF. And this MPP comes and create the impression everything is good because the fundamentals are not right.
They're not working.
The fundamentals are not working. How do you bounce back when the fundamentals are not working? And you create these entrenched constitutions and the
interest will be as bad. The entire will be about if Ivano. Now, say one hour opposition there. Who your position there, but president say one hour ultimate appointed. Now, one hour IGP there.
And yet, now, so
ceding your power to become a problem.
And that is where later on we'll talk about, does the church have a role in this? I'm speaking not merely as an intellectual, but I'm inspired to speak more as a software, as a Christian, than as an intellectual.
Yamfa the second phase and something about last phase.
Okay.
And we'll be about any I am the back of second phase, yes. Enti, a chance to acquire a fast one, G independent by. Ibu, a cassette, Inisa, by baby who never crack a beer. Penny ya den ma untimi challenge nka se oye bone a wonka nanso na adibu no ho we hu se ne panyin ni we di we ni mu a hu se we panyin ni nti ni di ni sa de no na e wo ho a eno bo ma ye busua no egina yi okofie na busua panyin tidwem na ototo ne ma ni di edema oba o nuclear no so a papa kura ni bi kura na o yakola wo bi kura na oba fie a
oh yes
the papa bekano nti ase ho say focus na ko shift akoye se de we ebusuan pe na woni skant de en enti are me small boy na me sibi dan na me ka dem a wo bebrebe nya na na for me ekohye a senti enye den ti me na makoto mu ticket na wo aba late na unya ba bi ntina na stadium na ye mana me to hembola wo se me sorry nti ye ba eno so ye den na sasa aben na change na nke penga enya political na wie no nke economic emancipation mo ye sabeka no nenu abo ya braba ya mpe but ani papa na suban papa ne kwan fa so na ebo ye bra ya mamre se ma etoto bi kame independence time ye bai mu no eno de ato atwene ntem de intra.
Well, I think that in discipline ne krone banum ne ade na it may not be right to say we hear some necron a banum because Torabia Yana may can assem say if people find you irrelevant in terms of helping them to move on, sometimes they've a crisis, for example, the chiefs never be there, but the system that we have adopted, as a one authority has been eroded. Enti ma obuoni ani die wo babusua mu kura nso a wan hwe yi a uniska ya na me ya sorry am yi Kenya me na to dwon sisika me ni bi enti abusua sorry a yemfrɛ me na me say na yemfrɛ na me kan say be yi abaye peska uniska enti but this is wrong. And that is where, sorry, no. What kind in book here, Lekwan Ye say, and for me as a Christian, it challenges me. Also, one of the things that they held on to were the Confucian values of respect. Christian values. Confucian values. Also, they threw those away. But Confucian values are respect to parents, respect to one and a. For example, or can you be say, one way Commonwealth, you be Singapore, and they talk to the people. You have to be courteous to all way in the. So when we a conference, no, I say no, we cannot be courteous to Abrofo. Na yeni ayen for there, obi ba shop, ana bibisa umuno. So he made that as a. In terms of now the background or car or one evidence or say abaye numuni ade you cannot solve it. I just say when your juma move on microphone to go and do it. So they saw it and they said now this thing cannot work. The MP juma and when we moved them, also the street became. Do you know say Singapore? It is wrong to say obetin tesu from.
Spitting,
and you can see, even though because the people saw that policies are there, but and values and so I say, when you run into a certain situation of survival of the fittest, where people have to struggle.
How do you describe as we speak 65 years here? I mean, what is the situation now?
In terms of sikasema na said there.
Why get I share by your own description? How do you describe it?
And yet
System working.
and yet a system now a lot of struggle. You cannot really hope to say. And then run on America and Independence Day by their schools to be on pay me be a television or more to patriotic songs and then all those kinds of. But what is the hope? I struggle. Yeah, because we have not. Mamemfa we intwem. When the educational system they are creative. We go school no. I've discussed this in this book. Me call 6 years and sana me call class 1. And me call primary school 6 years. Till me di 12. And me call middle school 4 years. Me di 16. And me call secondary school 5 years. Until now me di say 21 as I say. And me free and me call 6th form 2 years. Me di 23. Now me call university 4 years. Not just me di say 27. That assumes that one breaky baby 27. Son will be university.
By installment education.
One. If say secondary school, I say me train for 2 years and I make secondary school. And then je bu nim the system ayaye. Ya change educational system no. Nkwara no now 6 years no call class 1. 6 years primary we did 12. Then he goes to JHS for 3 years, we did 15. From JHS, we go secondary school for 3 years, we did 18. 18 years, we go university 4 years, we did 22 years. Maybe did 27 as I say at 28, 27, or no 22 no we. And then he comes out. So you have created a whole generation won't expand the job markets for them. Nti saa branch ya na ababa one wadi 22 no awa university no oba be struggle na e de be na wonye e na amanatimi enya bibi adi ne ko ne ba nti se umma economic system no break it down you can never have a disciplined society. Maybe that is the way I will put it. And because
and breaking down on Timmy Francois Abanya
a systemic failure over the year, because there are certain fundamentals as you go on, you begin to realize it, and then you begin to and then Professor DeWalt in South Africa said the euphoria of democracy in Africa.
All right. Mami from WhatsApp kakra.
Okay.
Na yentimine international missions director go kasa on missions week here. Yasha say when we come back, then we'll look at the assurance of LNT. I'm sure. And we are still looking at 65 years. Ghana Yenya. Kasa, how far have you come? Steady poreka in actual economic side. And Nema Hodwa militating against our progress. I'm say Prof Aka Debre cultural values are a free ho. Fundamentals no any correct automatically no there's no way you get a smooth but at chance we at the end of the day no we have to as a prof boy na erade boy my solution the way out. Now let's come back to the church. This is where we belong. 65 years asori no a woman then I am right me no tell any cancer ma would offer the fact say adibu ekofom the focus na ekosika so ene abofra wosika ofeso wotumi sin panyin enso so enfie enfesika nto enso e kamia se man mu ewe wosika yebu wosika ane efa on enti obi abofra kra na no hia meeting bi ase na wo kasa no anhwe yi de sika nti nsem obetabiri dia ma ona nye ana me ka se na no ye Ghana Statistical Service for your census here population and housing census me na me company for no bi they put a figure no far above 71%. Is anybody do no? Christopher. In the true transema we see who be free 1957. Sabre na soro boa. Na wo ka say na ba nche. Ba na Methodist wo ho da na Presby wo ho na Catholic wo ho Anglican nya no mo yi omuti. E de ne yentimi nyi ni yi sa soro a. E ma se ye ko ye nimu a. Enka obeka se nka Kristo summo wohwehwɛ mu ade a very easy open information about Christianity is so simple no more no you ase afɛfɛdeɛ ne ahantan ne bra bi a ɛmmoa na asɛ sɛ yɛboa ma ɔman hyehyɛ akɔso sɛ Christopher the Christian values bɛyɛ adwuma ɔman bɛkɔ n'anim ɛnso yɛnyɛ sɛ aban bi abɛtena so a ɔbrɛ aban ahodoɔ party aban na emu dodoɔ mpanimfo nyinaa yɛ Christopher and yet we are not getting the fundamentals right deɛ na asɔre no yɛnyɛ ne yie yɛyɛ ne yie a abidu yɛn sɛ
I mean, asɔre no has had a part to play. Na I'm say you play a part in a year, Papa. What kind Bible nina? It means that in Fitiasiana Yankopon say Monkona Monko Divi asiso. So in fact, about 2 weeks from now, I talk baby about the biblical basis of modern science and technology, and what is the African perspective. Akrofi for Meko.
Crystal.
Okay. Now, the biblical basis is the amabrofun mo kwa men kan se wo mo no ebu ade ne kro ne ba echen. But the reality which I have seen from my perspective is that they've had a very good biblical Christian foundation. And simple honesty, hard work, and so on have become part of their culture. So integrity has become part of their culture. Unlike us, where we have moved, because the typical African is typically superstitious, very religious. So when the gospel came, we seem to have taken the spiritual aspect. That's why my book, in my subtitle, and I said the spiritual and material blessings of the fathers. Yebejia Tumwa, Asona has not seriously emphasized teachings boa ma soreba etimi ebono homodin ediye. We haven't emphasized that. Ya chire nyina ye meje mekra Methodist for meje mekra ongu denkwa na mema, but Jesus says we are the light of the world. In terms of our responsibility and demonstrating our Christianity outside the walls of the chapel, no, it hasn't been say we for your wujua wudie, we banking, we juma we time we juma, we nurse, we one all those kinds of things, you know. It doesn't seem to have become part. Say, when you become a Christian, all of these things must be transformed. They say even when you go into governance, yours must be different, and so on. Maybe my book about can a Christian become a chief? And I said yes, because why do we seem to have left this important leadership position to Omo enye Bible ne din church eni? So and one of the things I'm making to my youth political chamber, which you are also begun to equip people into governance. Enti sanema we no no ayama ukakakaka na kodru baby a people get money, and today now no my start study be a major home book say John Wesley's teaching on money. It's very, very important. You would have thought that John Wesley, all that he taught about was what? Holiness in the land. But John Wesley seriously talked about, and he said money is not evil. That money in the hands of God's children can do a lot of good.
The missions wiki.
They're okay.
It is kind
of. So why has the church not really taken time that when sometimes you get very good, even born again Christian, tongue speaking, whatever, then and then he just keeps on talking. So what are, until we are not taking leadership of life
as
Christians. And imagine Senka yewo a Christopher mo ye no kwere Christopher ebiebie nyuma employing 3,000 so many thousand. Would you be talking about unemployment for a for? But those who are getting the money, you know, a Christian values, you know, form. So what they spend the money on and use it on, and so the poverty is just widening. So, enti ye emraso pa say asore and it goes back to Nehemiah. Emraso say if the Chinese saw that there was poverty and that the governance must change strategy, and even biblically there's a point there. Matthew chapter 9 verse 35. Jesus was going about his duties normally. Ɔsɛ ofirim kurase ne nkromo kyerɛkyerɛ then wɔtoo n'ani no ɔhu sɛ wɔn sam nifa kuokuo sam wɔte sɛ nnwan a wɔn ni hwɛfoɔ borɔfo no sɛ they were harassed and perplexed. Then he saw say hey nti ɛdeɛ ne yɛyɛ. Then he called the people and said momfrɛ empaye mompaye ma adwuma wura no ɔmra mɛka. Then he called his people and sent them out in twos. So Jesus changed strategy because he saw that onunkwa moving and healing and doing all those things and was not going to solve because the people were many. Entimi hunu the entire asori in Africa, asori in Ghana. And unfortunately for us, the church came to us on denominational basis. And so the denominational attachment and they are very, very strong in our ecumenical agenda. And so we are not making any impact in terms of influencing decisions and governance. In terms of influence, because the Kenyan say, and so no missionaries, schools and hospitals, but the challenge we are facing now, because now you go to school, you're saying only Wednesday, and sorry. Once I know, sorry, they became part of us. And to say, we are following trends, and then they say, an island because the people are reading and talking about America
in a split second.
Sorry, and people begin to talk about Ghana is no longer not a religious state and it's a secular country, which is wrong because the empire Ayebokran said God bless our homeland Ghana.
Put together figures in statistics such as a religion. Muslim.
But the real issue is, shouldn't the church also change course?
Okay.
And begin to empower Nasorimana to be able to empower them to combine warm morals, to translate them. Because I didn't think so be baso no kujumwa. The attitude towards Obia Obabe Didra. And he doesn't come to church and hear this message.
And in the end, we are influencing every sphere with the values and principles of the kingdom of God. Sani HRA PENTTV for. We are doctor now or hospital on one. Yes, in Conquer doctor.
But Pentecost, one more door such as Rabia Wagana.
Yasemukena. And the econo. Tia cano say, we are doctor. Not a patient in the home. Nice, I was a man. Yafina Kumimi and phone, so no friend. Let's because the other churches are also saying some of this same. Yes.
But
like a drama abeboa.
A drama abeboa.
A drama abeboa.
And never been so governance in the Cronibanomo ya can ya humbo mu can.
I can't. And also
the other kwame trans Amisha and say LGBT by and so Kambo say this is wrong. Why is it that the same thing a fire governance now? This call for constitutional change or review near the Adena. Adena Yenina Yemfa and Emma and so on committee and can say, hey, Mommy and here's our name away. Through land and in there, boy, your position. Yema yewa nim deform betimi all the necessary research. Yamin kwana me trans amateur 560 page book about governance in a yewa nim deform abehwehwe niyama no mo. Amo this clear position aba. Na ye indicate asori man nyina wa asori mu. Say these are the kinds of things that you believe we say. It's not asori nyane dia tokwa ba na ye kwa paka na ade prevent it.
Paradigm shift no.
Ya
sha say free baby because over kaya say enye say ya sha say free baby and ya no LGBT nsemi ba na man for so mo tia danka krumu anka gbo hu And what you are also saying is that going forward, no. Collectively,
and
national issues.
National issues.
Yes, Papa, direction.
No more evangelism consultation. Now me call ma talk kakra na I can say this time now. John Stott ne Billy Graham. They had a Lausanne Congress.
Yeah.
Matro men book in Kitwe Mubako. Na Omoko John Billy Graham say, oh, the Hiani evangelism missions about fine. And I John Stott say no. Yes, you catch it say, go ye into the world. So evangelism and whatever should be incarnational. It should be responding to the needs that are around the people. I know John Stott teach more on a book will be a and say, if the road between Jerusalem and Jericho is dangerous, you don't only need a good Samaritans. You need reforms so that danger now walk on us on. You be free. And yes, sir, you are only dealing with social action, but you are not dealing with social reforms. And the church must begin to incorporate and be part of all these things. So why is it that it's affecting us? It's affecting Yema near the Omoba, Wakoto, Nasasi, or Tobio, or Hena Tom will be. It's affecting Nabraba, Warbonea, the Adina educational system. Nemery school, 4 years, 10 years in Omunya Jumanya, no Najun, and send a Bano Beko University or Baya, Nanka, no son, Nihia Frasiako. He is faced with all those kinds of things. And yet the church just makes him or her prayer meeting, all those kinds of things. But it's not saying what are the issues? Unemployment, that's what Adentina, Yenina Yanka home. Na Yemma one nimdeno. And yet all these things near presented to her. He said, not just presenting, but advice Yemma. Say, you're two about every 4 years.
A minute.
Okay.
Yeah, wrap up.
Yeah, they wrap up. No one I can adequate. Say, and there might be brave or a memo system no more. Emwa, am I intimate in the year? And say, a young crofire can kind Bible near there. Yemma and reflect it. And I have said in my book, say, yeah, this is 65 years. I can't say 35 years. Now, yeah, 100 years. Me empire and say, Yamenya Yadom. That may need 100 years. Or bride, that's what we hear with him. Intimacy, Mama Yemfa, what I call Agenda 2057. An agenda where we all collectively tell ourselves, say, governance and whatever, we will have a clear agenda. Well, party, whatever it is, directive principle of state policy, are in such a way, say, over toward the IS, but by the next, actually, 100 years, Ghana, any say, to also a year or Maya, aiding here. Mempire, any say, when you coupon a bay, Adam, Ama, Sane, Mano, Etime Abaso.
All right. Yamishrao. Who owns the land and who rules the land? Okay, we are very, very, very powerful and insightful book. Ebetimi Abwa or Wobinsu Hanum say Abraham was rich, Isaac was rich, Jacob was rich. Why not you? Enti nyani nyana abeko honhom. Wo ko honhom ne manyina na nya gift ni wie so a. Physically so say evidence we show e che say nyame a wugini di no o nyame so yesika ni zuka ho. Or say Africa shall be free from poverty and also ewo ha wasan so atre. Ni nyina no upe na last one no eni we na washara ni kama ni nyina no e prof and a troye. Why not you? If Jacob, if Isaac, if Abraham, if all of them were rich, adena wo nyame banso wonto onya rich. Omodna say unsabe kan bi na wakenkan na etimi aboa wo na erade ehira. Prof, yes, so e bia na obi pe contact fatu dra quickly na yen sorry so.
You come say Kespen Asida House.
Okay,
Obusa Asida House about number there 0244 463 878.
But me last two text messages na yen cause praise the Lord JB I'm enjoying the conversation from Abepo Junction, Kumasi. I think COP Vision 2023 is right remedy to the messes in this nation. If other churches in the country will adopt this vision and implement it, over 70% of Ghanaians are Christians here. Will have a lot of things to boast, and then there will be a meaningful impact. God bless you, Papa. So if you Janet in channel, so the Lord bless you for this insightful program. And I feel so last one, or say our leaders in Ghana don't think about how the country can be developed, but rather they think about their stomach. They should remember that no matter what they do, one day, they will be judged.